This is a subject that I've thought about a lot. And tonight, I'm going to make a video about it. And I'm going to pose it as more of a question to you, the audience. And as I describe the scenario and lay out what's going down, the question for you is, in this scenario, would men and women come together and be in a more harmonious, have a more harmonious union between them if such an event were to occur? The event is the king of all solar flares. The potential for such an event you're already aware of. In fact, something that I was having dreams about as a really young child. In fact, that's when I first started thinking about martial arts, believe it or not. The need to be able to protect yourself in a situation where there was a red sky and literally no power and people freaking the fuck out. No shit. I was thinking about that at a really young age. So when I first started hearing about solar flares and doing research into it, even though I'm mostly interested in sharing information and building upon this pool of information and knowledge as to how our consciousness is affected by the solar cycles. But to keep this limited to the conversation about how sensitive our current grid is and how, if we were to have a massive solar flare that penetrated our Earth's magnetic field and disrupted transformers connected to power plants, to see a meltdown of those power plants that don't have enough fuel in reserve. According to Matthew Stein of When Technology Fails, a massive die-off following such an event, but not even to take it that far, to just simply describe an event where there is no power. And there is no traditional ways of food being imported into a city. And that includes traditional ways of powering the water pumps. The sanitation networks, everything that's involved in making sure that there's water in that faucet, coming out of that faucet when someone turns it. So, in a situation where there is no power, whether there's a power plant meltdown or not, you have a situation where unless people work together or develop some sort of system to get food on the table and get water to point A to point B and also get the fecal matter where it needs to be, in a dense population, it's going to be chaos unless people are working together. So instead of focusing on all the horrible things that we know likely are going to happen in certain areas where there is no water and there's no food and there's nothing but humans full of all kinds of things, including quite a bit of blood and flesh, in a situation where people have to work together and carry things together and rescue people together, would we see a return of romance? Would we see through such an event where there is no money as we know it to value someone on, when someone's value is literally how they can be assistance to you right there in that moment? Does that change things when we go beyond the credit card and we go beyond the cell phone and we're having to deal with the people around us? Where there is no Facebook, there is no YouTube, there is no cell phone, there is no credit card, there is only you and the people around you. Is that going to end up in a more conscious reality where people are talking to each other and establishing relationships and making eye contact? Or are we still going to see the same games being played? Will it then be about which man has the biggest castle with the biggest weapons, who can feed the most women? Will that be the scenario? I'm actually giving you a couple of different options. We might see both at the same time. We will see both at the same time because people are at different levels of consciousness. Women are at different levels of consciousness. Men are at different levels of consciousness. And there are some men that in this current crisis that will seek to have their own slaves, their own armies. There will be deceivers amongst us. Oh, come to my survival camp. Yeah. Come work for me. use your labor to make me the wealth because it's my land. That mentality still exists. And I think the future is going to see certain con men in the so-called survivalist movement rear their ugly head. I'm just going to throw that out there. So be aware of that. So I think we're going to see both realities. And I'm kind of pretty much throwing this out there to see what you think about the whole scenario. Whether it's in your area or in certain areas, the more likelihood of people cooperating and being in harmony, but even more so, like a genuine sense of romance and love in a way between man and woman. You know, all this technology gone, the big media gone, the cell phones gone, and just people naturally needing each other and appreciating each other in just their real world around them. And that's going to be really chaotic for a lot of people. And there are some people that are going to take advantage of a bad situation right away. Human traffickers, for example. I think that humanity, I don't know if I can give it, I don't know what I think anymore. I thought first, for years, when this happens, relationships will come back to a balance. We'll realize we need each other. And the people around us, that will be what matters. And that will be in harmony with nature. And we will work together and we will rebuild. Even though there's going to be crises and whatnot, we will rebuild. We will prevail. And it's going to make us really strong as a result. It's also how I feel about the plot for a staged managed world war that will result in the occupation of the U.S. And it's almost designed or destined to make us a stronger people. The people of the world are going to be put through this, really. But is that genuinely the outcome that we'll see in our lifetime? Will it become then a more conscious society if there was a solar flare come and humble us and cut down this Tower of Babel and end world government and end all these things and end the world wars? Maybe a solar flare that comes right when China's invading the U.S. or afterwards by a few years after they've slaughtered many people and women have been shipped off to other countries and it's hell on earth in America. And RT is here reporting that UN troops are here to help us, all of a sudden deceiving Americans on the internet, that are looking for sources of information on America's occupation. There'll be all types of media deceivers that are saying the occupation is necessary. We have to occupy America. And all of a sudden, boom, a solar flare. I've often thought about this scenario. And whether it's all destined, like this massive reset, and it's coming at a certain moment in time. And then we're going back to the Stone Age. Is it going to be a positive or is it going to be really, really scary? And I really suspect overall it's a positive and we're going to see some real chaotic stuff. And it's really important to work through your bad karma if you haven't already. And I feel if this is true, folks, we got to work through that bad karma. But it's not going to be all one reality. People are going to be going different roads. Some people are going to go down some really dark roads. And some people are going to go somewhere else. But what do you think? Do you think that would be a situation, a solar flare that would bring people together and create love again between man and woman if technology was knocked out of the way? Or do you think that the way things are as they are would pretty much stay the same because the deeper root cause isn't just technology, it's something else? And that's something I can also ponder, Would a solar flare really be the solution to something that might be much more systemic? And what is the much more systemic or root cause of the imbalance between men and women? Technology may play a part, mind control may play a part, but that can't just all be it. There might be something far deeper. So these are things that I think about, folks. I think about what is real spiritual ascension. And it's a true union between man and woman and people actually evolving themselves and evolving with other people and appreciating good people and not wasting their time with people that are part of the old system. It's a much more elaborate conversation, but we'll discuss it another time. Thank you for watching.